Hi, welcome to Sisters for Financial Independence. My name is Catherine Agupjan, and here at Sisters for Fi, we help you manage your money better so that you can live a life of impact today and tomorrow. In this video, we are going to talk about all types of insurance. And to help me with that, I have recruited my sisters, the sisters behind Sisters for Financial Independence, to help me explain as well as offer the different kinds of insurance that we all have and what you might want to consider when you choose your next insurance, whether it's car insurance, home, renters, or insurance is really all about protecting yourself, your family, and your future should the unexpected happen. Now, we may think that we are invincible, we're healthy today, but many of us are actually one life event from having a completely different life. And when you think about insurance, insurance helps you manage those risks and provides you that financial cushion should something unexpected happens. Hello, all right. Thank you to my sisters for joining me today. So today we are going to talk about insurance, all types of insurance. And because insurance is very personal, it really depends on where you are in life, your age, your needs. I thought it'd be cool for us to talk about insurance from where we are. So my sisters and I are of different ages, different points in life. And what we'll do today is share what kind of insurance we have, how we got to that point of making that decision to get the type of insurance. And then hopefully this will be a learning experience so that you can also understand why you need specific types of insurance, maybe why you don't, or why you need a certain amount. So what I'd like first to do is to have my sisters introduce themselves so we can get some context of where they are in life, and that will inform why kind of we chose those kinds of insurance. So I will have Elaine go first, and then I will share my personal details a little bit after the two of them go.
Great. Hi, my name is Elaine. I'm the youngest sister of Sisters for Five. I'm currently 26 years old and I live with a roommate in an apartment in New Jersey. I'm currently a junior architectural designer at an engineering firm based out of New York City. I mostly work from home, but I commute sometimes via public transit, so I don't have a car. Insurance wise, I don't have too many. I'm only worrying about myself. So I have health insurance, including vision and dental. And then I have renter's insurance to cover my personal belongings, but that's about it.
Okay,
That's me.
great. Thank you, Elaine. Anna, please go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Anna. I live in South Jersey with my husband and our 20-month-old son. I currently do a hybrid work schedule. So I work from home 3 days and I work in New York City 2 days a week. So we have two cars. So we have car insurance. We also have medical, dental, and eye coverage insurance through my work. My husband is a realtor. So he is technically a contractor, a 1099 employee, so they don't cover his medical benefits. Um, Insurance wise, we also have life insurance. And I said, as I mentioned, all the medical and car insurance. Yeah, and I'm very open to discussing insurance today.
I'm Catherine. I am the oldest here at Sisters for Fi. And with that, it means that I also have a different kind of insurance needs. I have a family, so I do have a 2.5-year-old that we take care of. So our insurance needs is for the family. So we want to make sure we have health, dental, and vision for her. And that's covered through my husband's work. It's provided as free, so we don't have to pay for that out of pocket. I will also share how and when we used that health insurance, and how sometimes you don't know how good your health insurance is until you need it. Because of that too, I want to protect my family in case something does happen to myself or my husband, or any of us. So we do have life insurance as well. We do have a car. We are a one car household, so we do share car insurance too. And then we are in the process of uh, purchasing a property, so we also have home insurance at this time too. So we're in the process of understanding that. All right, so let's start first with health insurance. Health insurance is probably the one thing you will need throughout all of your life. And especially if you are in the United States, medical debt is the one thing most consumers in the US will most likely have or may have and will lead to bankruptcy. So health insurance is a way to eliminate or even reduce medical debt, but also ensure that you have the needs to take care of your own health. We know that health is wealth, so the better you feel, the more you can participate in life, be active, as well as work and gain that income. Now, a few years ago, within the United States, health insurance was mandatory for a period of time. In 2019, it was removed, so you no longer get a penalty if you don't have health insurance. However, there are five states and the District of Columbia that do require health insurance on the state level. And we happen to live in that state, New Jersey. So while for us, and it sounds like for us, many of our health insurance comes from employers. And I also will I'll have Elaine talk a little bit about this, about health insurance when you're under 26. And if you can share a little bit more about what that means when you're younger. And I guess for us, so health insurance, I mentioned, is covered by my husband's work. That includes dental and vision. I believe vision was a little bit extra, so he does pay monthly for that, but everything else is covered. So we have a full plan, and it's a pretty good coverage for that too. So that's something that we kind of love, and it helps us kind of stay healthy and ensures that we're able to see a doctor without much issue or without really having to fear that it's not going to get covered. Anna, can you talk a little bit about how you chose your health insurance, if you were able to, or what type of options you had for it?
Sure. So every year we have an open enrollment period. Our health insurance is a calendar year, so it starts January 1st to December 31st. And I think starting in mid-November or early December, the enrollment period starts. We're given typically four different options, and based on the different options, there might be higher premiums or lower premiums. But with the higher premium plans, there's less of a chance to have to cover additional costs just in case somebody does get hospitalized or there's like additional doctor's bills that come through. So we chose the highest level. So we're paying the highest premiums currently, just so that in the long term, if there is like a coinsurance or some additional percentage that we need to pay, we don't have to come out of pocket for it. So that's basically how we chose it, and we've kind of been doing that for the last couple of days, couple of years. So we've kind of just been continuing that process.
Okay. And do you think a part of it is because you also have a family, like you have a broader range of people to protect and maybe
Yeah,
watch out for?
absolutely. Yeah, I think if I was single and younger, I maybe I would be a little bit riskier and possibly choose something that was like a middle tier or lower. That way I could save on some premiums. But with covering my husband and covering my son, we just don't know what's going to happen. And with kids, they're always getting into accidents. So knock on wood. So you never know what's going to happen. So we'd rather be covered than have to pay a large bill outright.
Yeah, makes sense. What about you, Elaine? How is insurance as a single younger adult?
So I have health insurance through my employer. I just turned 26, so if you know, most people can stay under their parents' insurance plan. Um, and then at 26, you'd have to get off of it. Due to circumstances, I was off of my mom's health insurance plan my senior year of college. So I actually had to enroll in my school's health plan for that final year. And then as soon as I graduated, I enrolled in my company's or my employer's plan. So I've actually been paying for health insurance since that for the past 3 years. So a lot of my friends now have been going through that. Oh no, I'm like getting off the plan. What do I do? Luckily, I've had my sisters help me go through the different plans and trying to figure out what actually works for me. So I think currently I'm paying a middle tier, but it is a high deductible plan. And then I also have an HSA, a health savings account attached to that as well.
Elaine actually has a high deductible health plan, so she pays the lowest premium for at this stage in her life, but she's also putting money away in an HSA, which is a health savings account. And this account is what they call a triple tax advantage account, in which she is able to save pre-tax income into this account, let it grow over time, and any earnings remains tax free as long as she is using it to pay for qualified health expenses. And the list of qualified expenses is pretty broad, but you'll need to go to the IRS website to find that list. And you can also just use that money over time and save it and let it grow for yourself. So I think for her, it makes sense. But I will share a story that if you are about to enter like a different stage in your life, say you're about to have a child, you want to get pregnant, consider other costs associated with healthcare. So I had a child pretty later in life. I had a child after 35, and so what that meant was that I was what they call advanced maternal age. Had great services for the entire process of my pregnancy, no issues, and labor and delivery were good too. The unfortunate thing was that my daughter experienced dehydration, extreme dehydration, a few days after being born, and so she was brought to the ER, and we had to stay in the ER for around 4 days, or stayed in the pediatric ICU for to help her. So that was an unexpected um, expense for us. Thankfully, we have our insurance is pretty comprehensive, offered through my husband's work, and it covered our entire stay. If it had not, that stay would have cost us probably about above like $30,000 to $40,000. So I think that's when you get older and as you move towards different stages in life, just something to be aware of, that like some of the health plans may be cheap today, maybe cheap now, but they might come at a cost later. So I think for Elaine it makes sense. She has an HDP HSA because she's not really needing it that much. But as she gets older and she starts thinking if she wants to have a family, or of course as you get older, there's going to be more health issues potentially and illnesses. So you just want to be aware of that. I will just share. Anna also mentioned open enrollment. So I will share that we do have a video on benefits for open enrollment. So if you are first time looking into some of these benefits and you want to learn more about it, I encourage you to watch a video that I will also link in the description so you can learn more about it and understand what type of benefits there are.
When should I use an HSA? Because I like accumulate money and it just seems like a separate fund. But when is it worth using it versus just like saving it for something in the long run? Like I could technically use it for like allergy medication or
Right.
something seasonal versus some larger expense in the future.
So HSAs you can use anytime, right? So you save within it and you can use it anytime. FSAs expire based on either at the end of the year, or you might get an extent, your employer might provide an extension. The advice for HSA is that you save that for a while. Save it until maybe you are like 65 or maybe a little bit older, like past 50, to use that money. Because by that time, that money would have grown, maybe doubled, tripled its investment, so that when you actually need to use that money, or perhaps you don't have a larger income, you can tap into that account. So it's another form of an investment slash savings account for your medical needs. And your medical needs will most likely increase as you get older. So that's why you want to kind of save that for the long term. Of course, everybody's different. And if you're kind of encountering like a larger bills now, you might want to kind of make that judgment to see how paying for it now could be better for you in the future.
I
All
w-
right.
I will add for medical insurance, if both if there's a married couple and both spouses have medical coverage, sometimes it's beneficial to have individual plans if they don't have a family. So that's something to consider. And then if you're thinking of having a family, that's also something you need to look into just in case, say, you need to research fertility issues or there's like IUI or IVF routes. You want to see what benefits each plan will provide because it can be very drastically different. Like some plans can cover um, all the costs, and then some plans will only cover like a portion. So that's something else to consider. And then um, just from personal experience, I didn't realize that there's medical coverage, but then there's also a separate prescription coverage. So people should just be aware of that and kind of always ask the insurance companies to clarify certain items if the topic ever comes up that you need those types of um, drug coverage.
Right. That's a good point. So when you go through open enrollment, have the discussion with your partner too about like if open enrollment is around the same time, have the discussion to see if you might want to switch to a more comprehensive plan at around the same price or that provides you more, especially like as in if you're on a new year cycle, you want to just have more insurance coverage at the time when you most likely will need it, and sometimes you don't know, right? You don't know you need it until you get there. So just think about that. Think about like a little bit forward planning when it comes to health insurance as well. Right. And I will just add, so when it comes to those under 26, when it comes to health insurance, so your options, you could stay under your parents' plan, the 26. After you turn 26, though, so you do have a few options. You could opt in to your employer plan. If you're still a student, like Elaine was, you could opt into the university or the college health plan, and there's also the marketplace that you can look into too. So if you want more, if you want coverage, then so again, more some options in case you're making a transition from being under your parents' plan to having to go out on your own. Let's now move on to car insurance. Now, car insurance, 49 or I believe 49 of the 50 states require that you have car insurance. Now, this will depend on the types of liabilities you put in, but if you borrow a car, say you lease a car, high likelihood that the lender will require that you have car insurance to protect their asset. So, something to keep in mind. Um, the minimum coverage will vary from state to state. So you want to look at that when you are purchasing a car or leasing a car so you're aware what those costs are. Depending on your traffic history, your past car history, your car insurance premiums will range too. So if you're a newer driver, because you are of a higher risk, you'll have to pay a little bit more. So for us, we have one car and two drivers. So we pay around 90 a month in the state of New Jersey for car insurance for us. This is years of no, knock on wood, limited traffic violations. So you can also shop around for car insurance if you're finding that you're paying too much. I encourage you, though, at least once a year to shop for car insurance. Get quotes from other companies and get a range so that you are aware of what's out there and you're not just kind of doing the status quo of paying high premium for insurance. So I know Elaine, you don't have a car, so you don't drive.
I only rely on public transportation to get around, and I mostly work from home. But even if I do go into the office, I can take the bus or train it. So car expenses aren't really part of my budget or anything like that.
Okay, great. Anna, can you share your car insurance experience? You mentioned you have two cars. Um, do you shop around for insurance?
Not recently, but I should. I haven't done it. I think we've stuck with our current um, insurance company for I think 2 years now. But we have two cars, so my husband and I each have one. We kind of he drives mine sometimes, but I can't really drive his because his is a truck. Um, so two cars, two drivers, and we pay approximately like 150 each month. Um, I think it's always kind of ranged that to um, that same premium. Actually, we've only really had to use our insurance, I think, once within the past 10 years or so, and that was for like a flood that happened in hurricane. What was that hurricane?
Sandy?
Sandy?
Hurricane Sandy. Yeah, the bottom of my Buick had gotten water in it because the we were living next to a river and the river had flooded. So it kind of crept in to the front of our townhouse and gotten like everything wet underneath. So luckily, it was a pretty smooth process with that insurance company, and I think everybody was kind of going through the same scenario where there was like some cars that had been flooded. So, but ours wasn't total. Luckily, they just had to, I think, replace the carpeting. So my overall experience with car insurance hasn't been bad. Um, Again, knock on wood.
Yes. Not only will they replace your car, help them fix it, but in case there is like an accident, they can also help cover some of the costs of that. So I will share a story with my car insurance. A few years out of college, I bought a brand new car, spent 4 years making those monthly payments, and then by some freak accident, totaled it. It caught on fire or it caught on fire the day after Christmas and was deemed total. So my car insurance company paid out an amount for the car itself. So I received the payout, and that helped me kind of use those funds towards other things. But I think that's one thing that you just want to be aware of. Some of this stuff is like very, very like small risk or statistically small, but it can happen. So having some of these, the insurance is great. So again, this is really insurance there to reduce your financial impact, right? With climate change, I will just want to do a quick note that most of insurance premiums, whether that's car, home, or renter, will most likely increase as we experience more of these drastic weather changes. Like Anna mentioned, the flood. We also had another tropical storm here the past summer that flooded areas where they were not deemed flood zones. So, what you might want to consider is kind of looking at insurance to protect yourself too from these weather changes and patterns. Do you bundle your car insurance with other insurance, Anna, that you know of?
Currently, we do not. Um, yeah, I think we've tried that a couple times, and it just wasn't really completely worth it. So
Okay.
keep it separate.
Okay, right. So that was an option is if you can bundle it, if it saves you money, if it's better or saves you more money by separating it, look into that as well.
I
Okay.
will say, if you can avoid car expenses altogether, that's even better. Like, I think Elaine's option is pretty good, because car car
Absolutely.
insurance,
Yeah.
just like fuel on top of like any monthly payment that you may owe, that really adds up, and people not enough people take that into account as much as they should have. They should.
That's true. And I think with Uber and Lyft and all these other ride sharing, it feels very feasible to use those services to get around.
Mhm.
But of course, like I think we still need a good public transportation system to help you. Let's move towards life insurance. Anna, do you want to start on that?
Sure. Right now, my husband and I both have term life insurance. we had gotten it. I think I had gotten mine earlier, and then we added his on. We may have had mine for at least, I think, 10 years now at this point. So the whole process of getting the life insurance, we were young when we got it, so there wasn't like a long medical kind of questionnaire or process to get it. But the way they calculate it is based off of your future earnings. So they take your current earnings and then they kind of like multiply it over kind of a projection of how much you're going to earn during your lifespan. And then they take it back and see how much your family would need if, in the event that you did pass away. So this was kind of like an estimate a while ago, but I think we're still comfortable with the amount that we had gotten. So I don't know if I want to say that number, but
And you don't have to. You don't have to.
okay. But we do have term life insurance for both of us. And then I also have whole life insurance policies, which I'm still kind of debating if we need it or not. Um, when we originally got it, it made sense. But now I'm kind of thinking the cost of it may not be as beneficial or may not be worth the cost, may not be worth it now. So that's something I actually need to look into also to see if we need to cut it off. So the difference between life and whole life and term insurance is that whole life has a surrender value. So we have a little bit of surrender value if we were to terminate the insurance now. Term life insurance, the only way anybody's going to get money is if you croak. So that's the reality of it.
Elaine, do you don't have life insurance? Do you, or
I
anything for
do.
work that you're aware of? Oh,
My office does offer life insurance, but I guess I should have asked this at the beginning. Like, what does life insurance cover? Like, I understand if you pass away, that money can help like your family, but does that cover like funeral costs or what else does that cover?
so good question. Good question. Life insurance is all about protecting the people you leave behind. And it might also be all about maybe paying down debt that you're going to leave behind, that someone else might inherit or get from you. Or it might also be able to pay for your expenses should you pass, right? Life insurance is it's not really about you per se.
Mm,
It's really for the people that if they rely on your income and something were to happen to you and you do pass, life insurance could potentially help those dependents or maybe a partner or spouse to be able to pay off or pay for current living expenses. So you need to understand and calculate how much you need, and how much you need will depend on perhaps how much you've already saved or available to be passed down, what other expenses you think your children or your partner may need if you pass, if you have like specific needs for children with disabilities or special needs, you might want to up your life insurance. My husband and I got life insurance when we first bought a condo. And part of the reason why we bought that was that, like, in case something were to happen to one of us, at least that life insurance payout would help cover the cost of perhaps the mortgage. So one of us would not have to worry about that. This is all about really like family protection. It could also be family wealth, so you're not spending down other investments that you have been saving for. And as Anna mentioned, when you do pay a premium, there's multiple types of life insurance. Term is one where you essentially just pay a premium. You don't get that premium. You basically just buy peace of mind for the year that you are paying that life insurance. If you don't pay that premium, you don't have that insurance. So you'd have to renew it every year. So really depends on what your needs are, but the goal is to provide some sort of income or money should something happen to you.
My understanding, as you get older, And as you've saved and kind of paid down your debt, the likelihood that you'll need life insurance kind of gets lower, right? So the life insurance that you should be taking out should be less and less, because then there's going to be less people relying on your income, and then you'll already have the investments, your house kind of almost paid for, where you don't need that much kind of coverage to for everybody else
Right.
once you're gone.
Right, exactly. But so there's also, I think, on that same lines, the older you get, the higher risk you are for other illnesses and health issues. Your insurance does get expensive. So the prime time probably for getting insurance is maybe in your early 30s, or maybe right before you turn 30, because you're still young, hopefully active, and not have a high risk of health issues. And you can probably get like a decent amount at a fair price, as you kind of move along the age too. um, I will also share that, if going back to, if you are planning on having a family, think about getting health insurance before you go through any type of pregnancy, or because the pregnancy changes your body completely, changes your health completely. So if that's something that there's a family history of that, you might want to consider getting health insurance before that happens, so it doesn't affect some of the factors that will get considered for life insurance. For us, we had to do, someone came to our home to do a blood draw, do a questionnaire. We did not do, I don't think there was a separate like medical exam for us, just a questionnaire by a traveling nurse, and a blood draw and panel to
Yeah, come to
do.
think, I think we may have done the same thing,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. I don't remember it being like running through hoops. It was kind of like they made it easy.
Yeah, yeah, it's fairly straightforward. I mean, some companies just provide you like that we didn't have to go anywhere, right? The nurse came to our home to do that, so that was fairly easy. If you're a smoker, that will your insurance. There's a higher premium for smokers, so just, I know, something to think about as you kind of think about your habits, and what that means for the type of insurance you can qualify for. All right, so let's now move on to disability. Disability is meant to cover your income should you become disabled. And I think many employers offer this. So if you're looking at your benefits list, look to see if that's available. And basically, it's just like if you work in a field where there's a higher chance of getting injured, or you just you need a specific body part to to be able to do your job, you might want to consider a disability insurance, because they will help pay a percentage of your income should you become disabled. But it's not the full salary; it's just a portion of it. So I know it's another insurance to consider. Do either of you have any experience with disability insurance? Have one, or
So does disability insurance, that's only in case you get hurt and get disabled,
yes?
not if you are already disabled, what insurance? Like just your normal health insurance
Yeah, normal
is
health
what covers
insurance.
that? Okay.
Yeah, disability, you have to prove the disability occurred, and you are unable to perform your job duties and functions.
Disability insurance also covers um, if you go on maternity leave, you have a baby, so you're covered for 6 weeks if it's a standard delivery, and I think 8 weeks if it's a C-section. Um, it depends on the state how much what's required by the employer. Some states, I think New Jersey is more favorable, and New York, for example, I think there's more coverage in New Jersey that's required than New York. Um, but there is a requirement for, so my employer, when I had my son, I got a little bit from New York, but then my employer also had a separate disability coverage, insurance coverage that brought me up to, I think, like 60% of my usual income. So it wasn't like Kat said, it's not 100%. But I think there's also a cap on it. I don't remember what it is now, but there's a cap, usually a cap on how much it is, and it's not overly large.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's another supplement, right? Just so it's another just in case something
Mhm.
happens to you and you're unable to work. You don't have, at least you are not in a position where you don't get income. You still have some income coming in to help with your living expenses. All right, so now let's move on to renters insurance and home insurance. Elaine, you want to get started with your with what a renter's insurance is and how you found yours or why you needed yours?
So renter's insurance helps cover all the belongings and personal belongings that are in my apartment in case something does go wrong, whether it's burglary or maybe there's a flood or a fire, then all my belongings would be covered in that insurance. So I have renter's insurance. I've had it for the past 3 years while I've been renting. Ours is actually, we mentioned bundling earlier. Ours is actually was bundled through my roommate's car insurance. So through her company, we actually found a deal that also covered our belongings. So it was both car and renters. We've just been doing that ever since. If we want a number, it started at, we paid maybe 100, if not less, for the both of us. And then over the years, that has increased because we just have more valuable items.
And I think for if you're renting, I think many landlords now require it.
Mhm,
Large like management companies require it too, I believe. Right?
mhm,
Because for us, we're renting now. So we're renting in a very large like from a very large management company that's national, and it's a requirement that after we signed our lease that we had to show proof of renters insurance, and ours is also bundled with our car insurance
mhm.
too. So dollars maybe per month. We kind of just protection and again peace of mind
Yeah,
for all our stuff here.
it's definitely not as much as I thought it would
Mhm.
be, but it is an added expense. But ours is also like our. I live in an apartment building that's through like a property management company, so not rather than like an individual landlord.
Right. Okay. Anna, do you have anything to add to renters insurance before we move on?
I don't have renter's insurance, but I do have homeowner's insurance. We pay, I think, about $1,000 sorry, a year. And that is escrowed by our mortgage company because the mortgage company wants to protect their interests, their loan. So they required us to have insurance, keep insurance for the term of the loan. Um, yeah, we haven't had to use homeowners insurance, so luckily going strong on that. We do have a couple of rental properties, and we also have independent insurance policies for each of those properties. So that's something that we definitely want to have, just in case something happens, we are not SOL.
Yeah. So we're in the process of buying a home. So I am shopping for for home insurance too. So that's currently on me to just review what's available, and a lot of the a lot of the things, it's like the requirement. It's a requirement by the lender that we're going with, that you have um, home insurance, like Anna mentioned, because they want to protect their interest in the property. There's also some questions about, like, are we in a flood zone? How old is the property that we're trying to buy? And the other thing, should something happen, and how much would it cost to build a property like that. So you don't need home insurance until you decide to buy a home. So that's one thing that you don't have to think about or worry about. So it feels like you do like renter's insurance until a point, and then home insurance until you stop becoming a homeowner. The other forms of insurance that I will mention, which I don't necessarily have experience in, is pet insurance, which I know can also be a significant amount. There's also long-term care insurance. So as you get older, I will consider probably long-term care insurance, maybe 10 years from now, when we're kind of closer to the age where we might want to save up a little bit more so that we cover some of our elder care down the line. And I will mention too that Social Security is also a type of insurance. In case you were not aware, Social Security provides disability insurance as well as benefits should your spouse die. So it's kind of technically a life insurance policy as well too. If you are experiencing any of these and you need access to some additional funds, I would highly also like reach out to your Social Security administration to see if there's benefits that you can take advantage of so that you can get some living expenses for the time being. All right, so does anybody have any tips on finding the best rates or finding good insurance? Besides bundling is one of them.
Talk to friends, talk to family to see if they have recommendations. That's always kind of a good option to see how much they're paying also to see,
Mhm.
just to compare. That way you can kind of gauge, like, are you paying too much or are they paying too much?
Yeah. And I think that's also shop around, right? Like sometimes we're you may be using the same company because it's what our parents used or it's what we've known. So shop around. It takes right now. It takes like so little time to fill out some information and get like multiple quotes from different companies. So I think that serves you well to spend some of the time doing so if it saves you like hundreds of dollars a month. And I would also encourage you to like ask for discounts. It doesn't hurt to call up your rep and say, hey, like what other discounts are available for me? I've been with your company XYZ. Maybe they have like a long-term client deal. There might be like, I remember when I was in high school, there was a student discount for drivers, I believe, if you are a good student. So my parents were able to take advantage of that as well, and kind of get even just a few dollars shaved off from insurance. One thing too is to work on your credit. I think a big part of some insurance, they run your credit, and so if you have good credit history and score, that can help you later on too. So as you again move through the stages of life, you can, and a lot of these things too is like if you work on your credit today, tomorrow it will help you not just in getting better health, but better insurance rates, but better credit card rates, better everything else. So it's really things, the work that you can do today to help you down the line. That wraps up our insurance panel for this video. Thank you so much to my sisters Anna and Elaine for joining me today. I hope this video has been helpful and helps you understand insurance and kind of the life stage where you might need insurance. If you found this video helpful, I would appreciate it if you could give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who could help use this information. Having a conversation about money, insurance, investing can be difficult, but if you can seed that conversation with information like this, you can get yourself and others on the path to financial wellness and independence. Don't forget, if you want more content like this, to subscribe to Sisters for Fi, where a new video drops every Thursday to help you manage your money better so that you can live a life of impact today and tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.